Welcome back in McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. We are live on a Max Ball Friday, January 9th, 9 a.m. there in Birmingham. I am in Atlanta getting set for the Peach Bowl. I'll be doing some pre and post game radio tonight and trying to convince myself that this game is going to be more competitive than I think my heart believes it is. Or maybe it's my brain thinks it's going to be a blowout. My heart's trying to make it sound like it's going to be a good game. You got some wide receiver depth issues for Oregon. You got some running back depth issues from Oregon, secondary issues from Oregon. James Crepea joined us there, Saber, a minute ago and said, basically, if Jaden Kennedy comes out of the game for a single play, he thinks Oregon's in trouble. One play, if the safety were to come out for, he thinks that's going to be problematic for this Oregon defense.
There were a lot of things I was not expecting to hear from him on how little depth they have right now. Throughout the season, yeah, they've had it, but I think he said of the 7 receivers that are in rotation, like 5 or 6 are questionable or not there. Like the one that's for sure is like 6 or 7. That's very worrisome.
Well, and two, you wonder why certain people are looking at Evan Stewart potentially coming back and being able to contribute in this postseason. And now maybe from a depth perspective, you have a little better understanding of this is why people were making a big deal out of that. This is why people are looking at that saying, man, they need that to take place. He never made it back off that ACL, which happened late in the offseason. So I don't think the receiver situation is going to be one that's going to be overly concerning. I'm just interested to see how Tosh Lupoi plays it. Like, how does Tosh Lupoi organize his defense against a team that can be a downhill, physical, run the ball team? Like there are physical backs that Roman Hemi is not afraid to go between the tackles. Keelan Black not either. And Riley Nowakowski, Holden Stace, like the tight ends will get up there and get after you. The offensive line can get a good push. Now they didn't get a great push last time. Like Greg and I talked about that earlier, and Greg brought it up first. Like Bear Alexander, Amari Washington, they held their own last time. But even if that's the case, are you doing that with extra defenders in the box? Are you rolling a safety down? Are you having extra backers on the field? And if you're doing that, playing bigger personnel, what does that do for your matchups on the perimeter? We saw what happened to Alabama when they gave them one-on-ones and Charlie Becker went off. So I'm just interested to see like the structure of Tosh Lupoi and Chris Hampton, the Oregon co-defensive coordinators, and how they want to manage it, how they're going to try to play it. Because I don't – Oregon basically played Texas Tech with 4 in the box. Mm-hmm. Like essentially they did. Now they added guys late. It was 5 a lot of the time also, and then maybe a 6 would drop down late. But they basically said, here's our 4 D linemen, and we don't think you're going to be able to run the ball. And Texas Tech couldn't. But you're not going to be able to play that game against this team with how they run the football. And with the numbers being down a little bit, and maybe you not having a propensity to being able to run the football, some because I don't think your offensive line is playing as well as they were earlier in the season. 2, because of running back depth and health. Does that put them, in even more of a difficult spot of how they're going to play this game and what they're going to do? I struggle to find the confidence there, but this is why you have time off. This is why you go do things to prepare for a game. One thing that I loved that I heard from Tosh Lupoi this week in his discussion about managing his time and how difficult that's been and how they've prepared different things. Tosh Lupoi talked about how they had a mock game with the extra time off before they played Texas Tech. And we hear that sometimes and we think, oh, yeah, you go out there and you go through a 70-play script, whatever it is. John, these guys went and got on buses, bused to a team hotel, got up the next morning, bused to a stadium, went to different locker rooms, different sides of the field, and played a mock game. Mock game to the extent that they all put suits on walking into the stadium.
And the pregame and everything?
Everything.
Wow.
And so you talk about attention to detail. Like I have an appreciation for that from Dan Lanning and his staff to say, hey, we're going to do everything in our power to not allow this extra time off to completely disrupt us from our rhythm and our routine. Like, we're going to bring the buses in. We're going to leave the facility. We're going to go to the team hotel. We're going to have our meetings. We're going to have our pregame meal. We're going to put our suits on, whatever it is that we wear to the games. We're going to bus into the stadium. We're going to be on two sidelines. We're going to play one another like it's a mock game. We'll get out there. We'll play some tackle football, and then we'll go. Like, that's pretty next level. I have an appreciation for that in Dan Lanning and his staff putting that together to try and prepare for this college football playoff game here tonight. Well, it was in preparation for Texas Tech, but to not let that time off disrupt you as you move on further in the playoff.
Does that many extra day or two throw you off your routine that much?
I think sometimes it can.
Wow.
But I think, too, if you knew you were going to go scrimmage because you knew you wanted to get the physicality in because you didn't want that much time off of it, why would you not just go through the normal motion of a game week and what it was going to be like? Because I think anytime when you're playing college football and you have your routine and you have what you do on Sunday, if you're off on Sunday and you practice a quick practice on Monday and you travel on Friday, but you go get a walkthrough Friday morning and then you go to the stadium, whatever that is, when you take Friday off, or if you try to jam something in early Friday and take Saturday off, and that's a day and a half that you have off, like, that's where the disruption happens. That's where guys don't watch film. That's where guys go either drink too much. That's where guys get away from either treatment or taking care of their body, not getting enough sleep. So why not keep it with exactly what it needs to be and has been to every extent possible? And I think that's what he was trying to do. It wasn't as much. I actually don't think this was as much preparation for Texas Tech as it was when things go south is when we get out of our routine.
Right.
I mean,
Yeah.
think about when do most guys get in trouble? Like Thanksgiving break, Christmas break, holidays, summertime. Anytime they're able to go home, be around their friends, go back and, like, when you're not in your routine, that's when things go wrong. So I think what it was Dan Lanning saying, I want to stay as normal as possible leading up to this whole deal as we can to avoid any mishaps. And by the way, physically, mentally, emotionally, you're on that exact same page rolling into these playoffs that we've been for the entire season.
And see, Cole, I got a question. Like, just going to the game, and as much as you've seen Indiana, like, if Oregon is to find some sort of success, either offensively or defensively, where would it be? Because when you watch Indiana, it's, man, they're just efficient. They're just flawless. I mean, of course, they have their, everybody got it, one player or another. But it just it doesn't seem like any team has truly found a way to just consistently exploit any holes that Indiana has.
All right. I think Will Stein is, number one, going to try to get the ball out quick. I think he's going to want to make that defense run. I think Will Stein, like, I thought Greg used a great phrase earlier in the show that I have not heard about this Indiana defense, and it's how well connected they are.
Mm-hmm.
So you played receiver. What are some ways that you can disconnect the defense? You have essentially attached formations that detach. So bunch sets. Do not be surprised to see Oregon have a lot of bodies near the line of scrimmage and near the football that don't end up there. I think you'll probably get trips, quads. You'll get some bunch sets. You'll get receivers lined up close to tight ends. I wouldn't be surprised to see some receivers jammed into the backfield and get routes out of the backfield. So anything you can do where they're going to start their coverage one place and they know normally it ends up in another place to disrupt that. So your scissors concepts, your rub routes, different things of that nature. I think that's probably where they have to go, and it's going to be quick throws, and then you roll the tempo from there. I think the only way Oregon has success truly running the football in this game is if they're going fast. So you get that first down, all of a sudden here comes the tempo. You trap them in a defense or a personnel grouping they don't want to be in, and you're able to steal some runs. I also think Dante Moore needs to run the ball tonight.
Mm-hmm.
If they're going to truly move the football, I think some of it's got to be him, and it's got to be by design because you're going to need the extra blocker. The tight end group is solid for Oregon. And if running back depth is not where it needs to be, all right, so, go 20 personnel, 2 tight ends, no backs, run the football, and let Dante Moore take an inside zone. or take a quarterback counter. There better be a puller though. I mean, I don't think you're just going to be able to go run your base offense. I think you need to try and have things that will cause confusion, commotion, be it by contact, be it by vision, where you have a stack formation, you have a bunch formation, and those DBs, those corners, those safeties, those nickels essentially normally would say, all right, we're taking this space or we're man coverage here that leads us into this. But those rub routes or the other routes that could go one direction or the other, some option routes, are able to get them disconnected, to follow up with what Greg said earlier about how connected this defense is. I thought that was a great phrase because that's exactly what I think when I watch it. Like usually you see one DB turn a receiver free, the safety doesn't come down fast enough, he's open, that's a completion. That doesn't happen a lot against this group. It just doesn't. And a lot of the reason it doesn't happen is because they're disruptive up front as well. Now, defensively, like we talked about earlier in the show, the front just has to win. Bear Alexander has to get one-on-one wins. Amari Washington has to get one-on-one wins. I mean, that's Uliungalele has to get wins. And that's pass rush situations, and that's specifically in the run game. And you go back to where Alabama couldn't run the ball against this Indiana front. It was a lot of lack of recognition. It wasn't just guys teeing off, strike, shed, push you 2 yards in the backfield, toss you off. It was, oh, they're running some sort of a stunt. I'm going to look back to try to find who's coming next. And once I look back, it's too late. That ball's gone. I mean, not the ball's gone, but that other defensive lineman is going to be there to make a play. You're not able to climb to the linebacker, or the replaced defender is going to already be there, and you're not staying with the play and staying where it's supposed to go. So I think 44-1, 52-10 for Oregon. They have to win up front if Oregon's going to get stops defensively, because if you're not, they're going to pound the rock, and then they're going to hit play action off that. You saw Fernando Mendoza has some success with bootlegs against Alabama last time out, and I think it'll be a lot of the same story. And if these issues on the back end are as bad as they sound, don't let that run game get going, because now if you have those guys having to come up and run support with what Mendoza does off play action, that could be a long day. Could be a really long day. I don't know. Where do you guys have other areas that you see that Oregon's potentially going to have a lot of success tonight that I'm missing out on?
No, I'm kind of with you. They're going to have to go fast, and Dante Moore really has to have a Trinidad Chambliss-like performance for them, because to me it just feels that Indiana is such a well-oiled machine that Oregon's going to have to hope and bank on Indiana making mistakes, and that's just something they don't do.
And with that, that's something that nearly every team has gone in and done. And we expect them to do this. We expect them to mess up here, drop this, do that. And Indiana hasn't. Now, to Oregon's credit, they found a way to withstand most of the blows that Indiana was able to throw out against Oregon back a couple months ago. Mm-hmm. So they know, like, okay, we know what it takes to stop them. We just didn't do it last time. I think Oregon is capable of it. I just don't know if Indiana is capable of realizing, oh, we messed this up. All right, it's not going to happen again. Don't worry, we're good. Like, I guess I feel like Indiana is not going to be shown anything they haven't seen or aren't prepared for, so they'll know what to do, and therefore should, if not win, maybe dominate this game.
But keep in mind here, when we talk like this normally in a game that we think is going to go this way, is because of the physical mismatch is probably going to be so overwhelming. Don't mistake it as that, because I can go show you reps of Amari Washington bulldozing Drew Evans at guard in pass pro situations the last time they played. I can go show you where. So expect some of this from the Oregon front. They're going to stem before the snap. They're going to move those guys around. They're going to have a lot of players that are lined up in places pre-snap that they're not going to end up post-snap to do what Damian just talked about, trying to disrupt some of the connection and some of the execution that Indiana's been so good with. So you go line up in a bear front, center both guards covered, all of a sudden, right before we think you're going to snap the ball, we move over. Now we're in an even front. You made a certain call to one thing. We're not in that anymore. Like those type of things happen. You get some post-snap movement too. But I think you're going to get linebackers walked up. I think you're going to get – because physically, I will say this. the front four for Oregon should be able to hold up. But it's what else are they going to add, or how else are they going to add it to where then Fernando Mendoza is going to be able to play off that and hit some things down the field. I don't look at this and just say that Indiana is going to go pound the football for 220 yards, like just on its own by itself. Now, if they can get it to where Oregon has to have extra help on the back end and they're worried about the safeties, and they got young corners that they know they can't win one-on-ones, and now all of a sudden you're trying to play 5 in the box like you did against Texas Tech, they will run the football with a lot of success. That's going to happen. And a lot of it is because they execute at such a high level. Hat placement is where it needs to be. Hand placement where it needs to be. Double teams are held and not left early. There's not guys turning back looking for a twist, and then all of a sudden we're replaced defender sitting there in the hole. The linebacker walks up. There's nobody even attempting to block him. It's a 1-yard gain. Like those things don't really happen as far as how the Indiana offense operates. It's the execution that is usually more so than just like physically overpowering you. And then they do it with personnel groupings, numbers, things of that nature. And they're just smart. They're smart in what they get into. They have a quarterback that can direct traffic. We use that game manager adage as such a negative so many times, but with Mendoza, I would use it as the ultimate compliment here. And here's the other thing. Like, y'all have watched their offense. It's not like it's overly complicated.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm sure they have green and gold calls. They come up, they run inside zone. They're going to go left or right based on the front. Okay, it's tilted here. Go gold. We're going to go left. Bam, run it. Like there's not a lot of overthinking. They know what they want to do. They know what they want to be. And my biggest concern for Oregon will be they know they have to help the back end. They know they can't live in a lot of one-on-ones here. And so how light can they even attempt to get away with playing up front? Because just the four are going to be able to hold up. But here comes Holden Stays. Here comes Riley Nowakowski. Here comes a couple of backs that know how to hit it, know how to get it. Like that's where all of a sudden, all right, who are you adding and where are you subtracting from on the back end? Because as soon as Fernando Mendoza sees one-on-ones, he's going to get out of those runs and he's going to try to attack you on the back end, and you're going to have trouble holding up. I've seen a lot of ways for a lot of other teams to go win and have avenues for success in this playoff. This is the one that I look at and say, I just don't see a ton of ways. It's got to be Dante Moore quick game, Dante Moore with his legs that then opens some things up down the field, and they have to take advantage of those and hit those. Like he missed a few of those against Texas Tech. They've got to hit their explosive plays. If they get any kind of one-on-one with the receiver win down the field, Dante Moore's got to hit it tonight, or else it's going to get away from him in a hurry. That's where I see it. And I kind of don't like talking about it like this because I want this to be a good game. I want this to be a competitive game. Like, we don't think Indiana's rolling in this thing with confidence with how Cignetti's been handling this.
Mm-hmm.
I think they got plenty of confidence, man.
Especially knowing what they've already
they know
done.
exactly where they are.
Like we've done this before. Yeah.
No doubt. And just walking around the hotel last night, I can tell you, it feels like there's a lot of Indiana folks here. I didn't see any Oregon gear last night. I saw a ton of Indiana gear last night. And I didn't even hear that long. I got here like 9:30. Ton of Indiana people here. So we'll continue the conversation on this game. We do want to shift gears a little bit, though. Nathan Bond covers South Florida. Now, there's a laundry list of names to go through, but a couple of big names that we think have a chance to be pretty good on this Auburn roster now under Alex Golesh. He's going to let us know who we need to pay attention to the most and why that are moving from South Florida to this Auburn roster. We'll do that next right here on Jocks. All right, welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. We're going to talk South Florida players heading to the Plains and what Auburn fans can expect. We need to get an update, though, just on the portal in general because it's nonstop every day. We're going to probably be giving you updates on this for a while. Flu season here. Make your home healthier with Train's Clean Effects Home Air Cleaner. Removes up to 99.9% of airborne particles, including those that cause virus. 100 times more effective than standard air filters. 8 times more effective than HEPA room filters. Find a dealer near you at Train.com. All right, a couple of portal updates from the last 24, 48 hours that we just haven't discussed. Stanford offensive tackle Emeka Ogurji. He has committed to Florida, so a big offensive line pickup there. Trey Richardson, speedy wide receiver from Vanderbilt, has committed to Louisville. So that's a big add to that Louisville offense. He was a guy that they used in a lot of the East-West stuff, a nice deep threat for that Vanderbilt offense. And he will be missed in that Vandy offense next year because he's a guy that they specifically went out and recruited just for speed and just to force people to defend them in different ways. Texas A&M offensive tackle Jonte Newman is going to enter the transfer portal. Texas defensive back Kobe Black is going to enter the transfer portal. Former Vestavia Hills edge Jordan Ross, who went in the portal from Tennessee, he has now signed with LSU. You talk to anybody up at Tennessee, they will tell you the intangibles off the charts, measurables off the charts. Hasn't had enough reps to really break out as a player yet, but a guy that has a tremendous ceiling that LSU and Blake Baker are now going to get on that defense. Florida State edge / tight end Amari Williams has signed with Mississippi State. So Jeff Lebby going to get a weapon there that he can use potentially on both sides of the football. That's one that could be good for him. Also, heading into the portal and potentially looking at what's going to be coming out of the portal, Louisiana Raging Cajun offensive lineman Bryant Williams. He has committed to the Arkansas Razorbacks. And Arkansas looking to beef up that offensive line. Vanderbilt edge Linus Zunk is going to enter the transfer portal. Not super twitchy, not a guy that's going to be a game changer with his speed or athleticism, but really solid playing the edge. And a guy that you kind of love the way he plays the game. Pretty stout there on the edge for that Vanderbilt defense the last few years. Eastern Carolina running back London Montgomery has committed to Florida, 742 rushing yards, 7 touchdowns this past season. That ECU offense was great. Their offensive coordinator is going to be coming to Ole Miss. Their running back now going to be going to Florida. Safety from Michigan, Brandon Hillman, is going to enter the transfer portal, and he'll find a new place to play. So, I mean, it just goes on. Arkansas offensive tackle Bubba Craig, 2 years left to play, 6'7", 310. He's in the transfer portal. Ricky Collins, who went from LSU to Syracuse last year, quarterback. And I'll tell you this, I watched him in warm-ups a couple of times. I had LSU last year and talked to that staff about him. They really liked him. Throws a beautiful ball. He's heading to Kennesaw State. That's a big-time quarterback talent that Kennesaw State's going to get. Don't know exactly what the rest of that quarterback room looks like, but kid can spin the football. I know that. New Mexico State transfer wide receiver Donovan Fopple has committed to the Razorbacks. So Ryan Silverfield doing some work in the portal, not necessarily with a lot of guys that we know are household names at bigger schools, but finding guys that have been productive along college football. And USC, Southern Cal, true freshman 5-star quarterback Husan Longstreet, he's going to enter the portal as well. That'll be one that a lot of people are after just because of name recognition and name value. And one that I don't think y'all are going to hear a ton about, but that you should probably know is NC State transfer tackle Jacarius Peak has committed to South Carolina. He's going to be one of the best offensive linemen that hits the portal this year. And that is an area that South Carolina absolutely needed help. So that is a huge get for the Gamecocks with Lenore Sellers coming back and Dylan Stewart back. But now you take a position of need that's going to help protect your most valuable asset that you already have returning. That's a huge get for South Carolina. And then it looks like, Saber, this Damon Williams situation's over. Now he's going to stay after all of this garbage?
Okay. Sure, man. Maybe he didn't have the money for an attorney because he didn't want to go to court. I don't know.
Well, he didn't have an agent because his agent left him yesterday. His agent put out a statement yesterday. If you guys haven't followed this, Washington quarterback Damon Williams, who signed a reported $4 million deal to stay at Washington, 2 weeks ago?
Yeah.
And then tweets out that he's going into the portal, which, by the way, and this has all been reported, when he put out the message on his Instagram that he was going to the portal, he was one of very few Washington football players that were not at the funeral of a Washington volleyball player. I mean, Tony Petitti, the commissioner of the Big Ten, was there. Then Washington comes out and says, yeah, no, we ain't playing that game. You're not leaving. And they say they're not going to give him his papers to leave. And now he's saying he's coming back. How do you re-enter that locker room is what I need to know. After that's how you handled everything.
That might have been
His agent releases a statement yesterday saying, nope, don't represent him anymore. But now this dude's got to walk back in the locker room after he announced he's going to the portal. When, not the best time. Okay, if you say so. Good luck with that one next year. What's that going to look like after the first interception when he walks over to the sideline?
hilarious for us.
I'm just saying.
Yeah,
I mean, that's one of those deals that, that's probably just not going to be fun for a lot of people.
This is what when people talk about why they hate college football now and hate the portal and this is what people are going to point to, not someone like Diego Pavia who finally got his shot, or someone like Jameson Williams who came to Alabama was like, actually, I need to go down. Not the one that lived or found a way to grit it out. Hey, I need to take my chances here or elsewhere, or choosing to move for a reason. No, this is what people are going to be pointing to, and that's what's sad.
Well, and behind the scenes, when people talk about the headaches that they have to manage and deal with, this is what they're talking about.
This is it, yeah.
A guy who signs a deal for $4 million and then 2 weeks later says, "No, I'm out," because somebody else is coming after him. Also, Alabama wide receiver Isaiah Horton hit the portal yesterday. So another player from Alabama is going to be in the transfer portal. We'll see how that one plays out. A lot more to get to from the portal, a lot more to get to at the college football playoff. But when we come back, we're going to talk about some of these players that, as an Auburn fan or an observer of Auburn football, you may need to know coming from South Florida, because that list is long. Nathan Bond joins us to discuss it next right here on Jocks. All right, welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. Appreciate you guys being with us. Listen online, jocksfm.com. Apps in your app store, iPhone and Android. You could download that for free. We try to keep you updated on the transfer portal every day. There's probably no way we could ever get each and every player to you and have a discussion about each and every player. That may even apply just to Auburn. It might even just apply to South Florida players coming to Auburn from the previous regime and Alex Golis when he was there and now on the Plains. So Nathan Bond's going to join us from the Bay Area Examiner to try to get a feel for some of these players that are going to come play for Alex Golis in the SEC this year. Nathan, based on your time covering South Florida, though, how would you explain what Auburn is getting as a head coach in Alex Golis during your time covering him, covering that program?
Yeah. So for those uninitiated, Alex Golesh, for lack of a better term, is kind of a psychopath head coach, but you probably understand, like most head coaches are, he is very, very obsessed with the detail, the minute details. What Auburn's getting is probably someone's maybe a little bit different than what you've seen in the past. He cares about every little thing, and you saw the turnaround from basically the tire fire that he inherited going into 2023, where it was just a cluster of a mess that Jeff Scott left. But he did a great job turning it around. Somehow made that 2023 team a bowl team, and it kind of just progressed from there.
All right, so let's go into some of the personnel that Alex Gold is going to bring with him. And some Auburn fans are concerned about this. I actually look at this as I don't know if I want you just chasing elite talent when there's a chance you won't get it right out of the gate. I want familiarity. I want continuity. I want a coach that's bringing in personnel that he knows their personality, how they operate, what they know what they're going to get. When you look at just overall the roster pieces that he's bringing from South Florida, should Auburn fans feel good about this? Should they be concerned about this, in your opinion?
I mean, if you look at what USF has done the last couple of seasons with these players that he's bringing in, like it makes sense to get guys who know the playbook. This offense, especially for the wide receivers, can be very hard to learn quickly and be efficient at it. So when you bring in four or five guys that already know what they're supposed to do, it kind of helps. You want to build a culture. The quickest way to do that, we've seen it with Indiana, is bring your own guys in who know what you want, and that can permeate throughout the entire program.
All right, so let's just go through. Byron Brown first, quarterback. We've seen the production. We know how much football he's played. We know what he's capable of, but just maybe some things you've noticed, you've seen, you've covered about the man who's most likely going to be Auburn's new quarterback this season.
He's tough. I mean, he's what, 6'3", 240 on a good day. The thing that may cause some issues, he does have a bit of a trebuchet throwing motion. It is pretty elongated. I know they kind of worked on it the last couple of years, and this season they were just like, do what makes you comfortable, and you saw what he did. So if it's going to translate, I think you kind of saw it in the Florida game this year. He was able to still make some of the throws. The short intermediate stuff can be a little wonky for him, but there was such an improvement from the few games that he played in 2024 to this season on the deep shots. And that's kind of where he made his bread and, that's where he was so good in 2023 when he went for 3,000 yards. He kind of got back to that after his injury last season. I think you'll see that. But if they can tighten up the throwing motion going forward, I think he'll be fine.
All right, so we're talking with Nathan Bond of the Bay Area Examiner at nbond0910. You can follow him on Twitter. Jeremiah Kroger, wide receiver, who had 38 catches, 597 yards last year, 8 touchdown receptions. What kind of a target? Now, this is a freshman too. What kind of target are Auburn fans going to be watching in this young man?
Yeah, he kind of stepped up after Chaz Nimrod got hurt, another Auburn guy heading to the Plains. Jeremiah really stepped up. Him and Keyshawn Singleton were just a phenomenal pairing. He can get up and jump the jump balls. He's great. He runs good routes. I'm excited to see what he can do against SEC talent. Frankly, like the guys that are going to Auburn probably deserve it, and it's not like they took a pay cut to leave. So, like, go get your bags.
So you think Koger could be kind of cream of the crop outside of Byron Brown as far as what Auburn's going to get in productivity this upcoming season?
Yeah, absolutely. I think he's probably one of the better guys. Like Keyshawn Singleton's also I mean, they call him like baby Megatron. Like he's going to be an option too. But Koger kind of stepped up this season after Nimrod got hurt and was pretty reliable throughout the entire year. I'm excited. I mean, he was only a freshman. Kind of excited to see where his career path kind of takes him.
Nakai Davenport, how would you describe him as a running back that's going to potentially fit in and into the SEC?
It's fascinating with Nakai. He was kind of buried on the depth chart going into the season because they did bring in Sam Franklin. They brought in Cartavius Norton. They had Alvon Isaac, who entered the portal and is actually coming back this year. And he was kind of the forgotten man because he was hurt for the last couple of years, but he really showed that he can kind of be the bell cow. Top end speed, maybe a little questionable, but I think he can kind of run in between the tackles, do enough to be productive at the next level for sure.
Yeah, it's you look at some of the weapons and like some of the intangibles of guys that are going to be coming in and the potential that they're going to bring. Like you mentioned, baby Megatron, and I look at tight end that's going to be coming in that's 6'6", that potentially could be a guy in Jonathan Eccles that gives you a different type of a target. Is he somebody you think this Auburn offense is going to be able to lean on this season?
Absolutely. You kind of saw it in flashes this season. He was a highly rated recruit coming out of high school. He was initially committed to Tennessee, followed Golish USF, and kind of slowly made his way to more reps. He's a fast dude at the tight end position. Maybe clean up the blocking a little bit as an inline blocker, but you can be spread him out wide, and he can be very effective kind of in the slot or next to tackle.
You think he's a willing blocker? I've gotten Nathan to where with tight ends now, it's like if you're just willing to put your face in there and try it, I'm pretty good with it. Like as long as you're just giving me some effort.
Oh, absolutely. He will put his face mask on some folks, and he will do his best to just, if nothing else, just get in front of a guy.
Nathan Bond joining us from the Bay Area Examiner. He covers South Florida. We're kind of running through some of this list and it's a big one. Thankfully, Nathan had the entire evening after I asked him to join the show to be able to put this together and talk about some of these guys. Defensively, Fred Gaskin at safety. What is Auburn going to get there?
High motor guy. He's still kind of young. I think he's technically like a sophomore. Showed some flashes. Obviously, it's for a young guy. There was a couple of times where he just kind of out of position. But I think that kind of tends to be that kind of defense that Todd Orlando, the former defense coordinator, kind of ran. They were high risk, high reward, and sometimes it paid off, sometimes it didn't. Where you can kind of get out of position, and when you're out of position, it looks ugly. But he definitely improved from 2024 to 2025 for sure.
Yeah, it's and I know it's an area that Auburn the numbers might be down just a little bit, so they'll be leaning on a couple of the DBs. Gavin Jenkins, a corner with it feels like good length, going to be coming in. Can he be an impact player in DJ Durkin's defense?
I think so. He was hurt for the majority of the year, but he was a highly touted recruit coming out of high school. They were very, very excited for him. I think he's out of like Lake Butler down in Florida. I think he was like an 88 composite in 247. I'm looking at right now. Like he was good. DeMarcus Van Dyke was his primary recruiter. He had a couple of really good offers: Houston, Ohio, Iowa State, Michigan State. So he was kind of a get for the class last season. So seeing him kind of progress will be interesting to see kind of what he can do at the next level.
I wanted to follow up with you, Nathan, too. We talked about all these guys who are going to be coming and playing at Auburn. Nathan Bond joining us on the Higginbotham Hotline. What are your thoughts so far of Brian Hartline? Because I think a lot of people have watched his career from a distance, expect this to be a great hire. We know the receivers he's brought in Ohio State. We know what he's done with that position. We know how well he's thought of in those circles. But as a head coach, what are you seeing early on? Where's the confidence level that he's going to be able to come in and continue to grow this program?
I think the athletic director, the CEO, Rob Higgins, they kind of went big game hunting a little bit, and they got Brian Hartline in I think you're kind of seeing with the transfer portal getting in, a Michael Van Buren, Julius Tate, some of these guys that CJ Hicks from Ohio State, some of these guys that can kind of make an immediate impact. You're seeing great staff, offense coordinator Tim Beck coming over from Coastal. You're seeing some of these guys who can be effective, and I think he's going to do well in this area. He's a great Florida recruiter, speed for days in the state of Florida. If we can get him, into the right high schools, kind of, we always talk about the fence around the Tampa Bay area, try to build that out. But there's talent everywhere. I'm excited to see kind of what he does going forward. A little wary about the offense, given just the mass exodus of offensive talent. What the offense is going to look like going forward when you don't have a Jeremiah Smith to throw to. So it's going to be interesting to kind of see how that kind of plays out going forward.
Absolutely. All right. Well, anything through the portal that you like from USF so far? I saw Michael Van Buren. He's got playing time, tough. I didn't feel great about his progression as a quarterback this year at LSU, but I think there were some circumstances around that probably he couldn't control. How else do you feel like he's handled the portal so far?
It pretty well. I mean, they've had to attack, the wide receiver spots, the trenches. They had to replace all of their offensive line. Their starting offensive center, Cole Best, it looks like he's getting an extra year, so he entered the portal. Frankly, that'd probably be a pretty good fit for Auburn, just because of how much he's played for Golish. I don't know if that's going to be a connecting point for him, but he's got 1 year left. But I think the things that USF fans are kind of hanging their hat on for Michael Van Buren is he looked really good in the bowl game against Houston. So I think we're open. That's where we see him going forward. You bring in Luke from Mississippi State as well. I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce his last name yet. Kramahook, maybe. Florida State guy, Savannah guy. So we're hoping one of those guys hits. I think they'll try to find another quarterback as well in the portal because they're right now, technically speaking, the only guy in that room is a quarterback Sam Fenton, who's actually from England. He came over as part of like the cultural exchange for college football. So the quarterback room got wiped out pretty well.
There you go. Nathan, great stuff, man. Thanks for hopping on, trying to help put some context into all these players coming from one roster to another. I had a chance to go watch a bunch of them, so I wanted to get your input on them, and I appreciate it. And hopefully you can join us again soon.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. And, if any Auburn fans are listening, we have a film room. My football guy, Seth Varnador, does a great job kind of cutting up game tape. So every week we'll cut up game tape, and there's a bunch from this season kind of giving you the inside look at what USF's offense, what Auburn's offense is going to look like going into 2026.
Tell them where to find that.
It's the Bay Area Examiner on YouTube. We have a Patreon as well. It's the Film Rooms Bay Area Examiner. If you search it on YouTube, it'll be there. Or you can reach out to us if you want to join. We have got a Discord kind of covering everything. But reach out to us. We'll answer any questions that we can. But honestly, the biggest shocking thing for me about this Auburn move is somehow Alex Golesh got the equipment guy to leave, who was a USF graduate and was there for 22 years. That was the biggest shock of everything. So good luck to everybody up there for sure.
There you go. Hey, listen, you get guys to leave that nobody ever thinks going to win, they're going to depart, they're a major part of the program. We'll take it as a win. Auburn's stealing equipment guys out there. I mean, that's a W on the plane. So there you go. Appreciate it, Nathan.
Absolutely. Thanks. Have a good one.
All right, Nathan. Yes, sir. Nathan Bond. Follow him on Twitter at inbond0910. Find his work at the Bay Area Examiner. Good stuff there. I just wanted some context of some of these guys coming in. I didn't have a chance to go watch them all yet. I'm still watching playoff games. So how the hell these coaches do all this, I have no idea. But we will tell you what you need to watch this weekend next right here on Jocks. All right, welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. A couple things that we still need to get to. Super Sofa Game of the Week, bad box score of the day. Let's just go ahead and roll right into it. What you need to watch this weekend. You only get one. You have one chance to watch a game. What exactly would that be? It is our TD's Fine Furniture Super Sofa Game of the Week. I'm going to skip tonight's game just because I think that's too easy. I think that's where everybody's going to go. Obviously, you got some good college basketball coming up this weekend. You got NFL playoffs coming up this weekend. So for me, it's going to be Monday night, even though that's the weekend's over. 7:15 on ESPN and ABC.
Here we
Houston
go.
Texans
Yeah.
at
Steelers.
Pittsburgh Steelers.
Here we go.
AFC wild card playoff game. That will be my TD's Fine Furniture Super Sofa Game of the Week for obvious reasons.
Well, yeah, of course, everybody's going with tonight. But if I had to be different,
The
mine's gonna be
Titans playoff game.
No,
this
no,
weekend?
no.
How
It's
about that?
actually
Yeah.
it is actually the hate watch. That would be the Jacksonville Jaguars taking on the Buffalo
Wow.
Bills at noon on CBS. We can go ahead and leave a spot open in Cancun for Trevor Lawrence and those Jacksonville Jaguars. So my hate watch for the Jacksonville Jaguars and the Buffalo Bills will be my TD's Fine Furniture Super Sofa Game of the weekend.
So 13-4 Jags, you're just saying they're with a home
Frauds.
playoff game.
They're done. They're
Frauds.
They're just done
Yes.
They're Texas A&M. Oh,
with
okay.
their
I see.
4,000-yard
runners.
passer on the season.
Front runners, they're done.
Noted.
They're
Noted.
done. Josh Allen's about to whoop up on
Well, I
them,
think to
man.
be a front runner, a lot of people have to be talking about how good you are,
And that's
I'm not
exactly
sure
what they're
that's
doing with
really happening.
Jacksonville. That's exactly what they're doing with Jacksonville.
I don't know if they're going that overboard with it. I mean, yeah, they got a good record, but not many people are betting the house on the Jags.
For me, obviously, yeah, if we could go with the other semifinal tonight, which you can catch here on Jocks at 6:30 on ESPN, Oregon, Indiana. We're taking that one out of it because we know we're getting that one. I want to go with the first NFL playoff game, Rams versus Panthers, because I want to see if history will repeat itself. Because if you remember back, almost 20 years or so ago, there was a team from the NFC that won the division, got a home playoff game, and played an NFC South team. And sure enough, the Seattle Seahawks went beast mode and ran all over the New Orleans Saints. So, yes, I remember that one. But I want to see if, honestly,
Okay.
if the Panthers are actually, okay, I know they're 8-9, but let's see kind of if they can actually make some noise, or really if Matthew Stafford is in the future NFL MVP we all think, most of us think that he is. And that's my Super Sofa Game of the week. And you can get your Super Sofa and more at TD's Fine Furniture. With over 100,000 square feet, they have plenty to choose from. Plus, they can buy in bulk and pass the discounts on to you. They have options for every room in your house to fit your style and budget. That's TD's Fine Furniture in Summerton.
Quickly, bad box score of the day. NAIA women's basketball, College of St. Mary
Angels.
Sycamores.
Flames.
Well,
They
Wow.
they
that's- here it is.
just let one sneak away from them against the Dort, Iowa College.
they are. They're just the Hawks, not the Hawkeyes.
No, they are the Dorks.
They're the Knights,
Oh, okay.
and they just squeaked out a victory over the Flames, 100-32.
Whew, okay,
Okay.
then.
Flames go to 3-14. Knights now 15-1. Flames shot 13 of 60 from the floor, 4 of 17 from 3, 2 for 2 from the free throw line.
Okay.
Okay.
Some improvement.
It's good that you made them both, but you only got there twice. Now, you were out rebounded 57-31.
That's lack of effort.
That's the
Of
tail
the
of the tape.
57 rebounds, 44 were defensive for Dort.
Yeah.
Dort goes 40 of 78 from the field, 14 of 31 for 3. Wait for it. Not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, not 5, not 7, not 8, not 10, not 12. 14 players scored in the game
That's depth.
for
Did
the
the
Dort
audience get in?
Knights. I don't even know basketball teams had 14 players on them.
Grad assistant played a bit.
Willow Bleeker, by the way, 6 of 6 from the field, 4 of 4 from 3 for 16 points. She led the way.
Have a
Way to
game.
go. That's our bad box score of the day. 3-man front is next. We're back Monday right here on Jocks.